The tabletop takeaway.
Game mechanics on display.
3 designers share the stage.
Pick a genre and we'll play.
The tabletop takeaway.
Welcome back to the Tabletop Takeaway. I'm Trevor Muller-Hagel.
I'm Ananda Gunaratna.
And I'm Charlie McCarran.
And today starts our series off on trick-taking games with the very, very old classical game of Hearts. I remember playing this game when I was a kid on the computer with some friends.
Remember that.
Yep, friends in high school. We played this a lot.
I played this in AP government class.
I played it on the computer by myself.
Yep, I played by myself on the computer a lot too. But yeah, ultimately, it's a very, very, very simple game using obviously a standard deck of playing cards. There's even 3 player variants, but usually you play with 4 exact players. The rundown is you basically divide the deck amongst all the players, and then you are trying to not take tricks because the hearts are all worth a point. So all, 2 to ace, each one is worth 1 point. And then also the queen of spades is worth 13 points if you take them in a trick. And so you really don't want to take tricks in this game, and you normally find ways to not do so. Obviously, with a lot of trick-taking games, you have to follow suit with the leader, whoever played a suit. It has a very stock start to the game that you have to play the 2 of clubs, and then you just kind of keep going. For a 3-player game, you had 17 tricks in each game. So Charlie and I both had some pretty rough scores the first 2 games, and Ananda won because he ended up with 5 points.
Yeah.
5 points.
5 points at the end of 3 rounds.
Yeah. But normally you play to
You normally play to 100.
There was an asterisk on the 3rd round because I played
Almost,
I tried something sneaky that I guess apparently isn't allowed.
Yeah, and I didn't see it officially, but he played the queen of spades because he short-suited himself on clubs in the first trick.
Although I will say I would have won even without that. So
Right. But yeah, so all in all, I wouldn't say that this is, the pinnacle of trick-taking design, but it's a very good foundation for what a lot of trick-taking games then became. And so I really like looking at games like this because of that, because, it's common knowledge for a lot of people who play card games.
And of course, we're tossing around the term trick-taking.
Oh, sure.
A lot. I don't know if...
I didn't specify.
I guess I don't know if we're going to have to do this
who's
for
a
each
designer
episode.
who's listening to this episode knows it, because trick-taking, every single designer is trying to make a trick-taking game. Just...
Because it's usually a deck of cards, or it's usually just card components.
Yeah.
And so it's cheap to manufacture, easy to pitch, usually pretty easy to play test because the rounds are shorter. Like trick-taking games.
And I say that as someone who made a trick-taking game.
At least one.
At least one. Actually, a couple now. But I think there is something cool about it, like that every designer can put their own spin on it. Like it's a really fun design challenge to figure out.
And I guess it's kind of like doing still life or something like that in painting.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a rudimentary thing that you kind of can get some design chops doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess with Hearts specifically, couple of things are interesting about the passing cards at the start.
Yes.
Where at the start of the round you take
3 cards is the normal rule. We did 4 because we had 17 cards in hand.
Yes.
So Trevor
it's
just
about
wanted to make
it's
it
about
more.
More equal.
Yeah. And you pass them to the next player, which can be used to ensure that everyone has some bad cards they want to get rid of.
Right.
But the twist is that if you think you can shoot the moon, then you pass low cards.
Yeah.
But then your neighbor sees that you did that. And
or if you want to do sneaky stuff with
you short-suit yourself.
Short-suiting yourself.
I'm like, why do you give me a lot of clubs? That's weird. Not even thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because it felt like each suit had its own flavor, which I never thought about in the past when I had played Hearts. But it's like, clubs, that's going to be first. Mm-hmm. Spades is interesting because, the queen's out there.
The queen can draw, you can use spades to draw out the queen or, a lot of other things there.
Yeah, and hearts obviously bad.
Bad points.
Unless you're going
Yeah.
for all
And
of
then
them.
diamonds are just bland.
Just
You know,
their thing.
They're there.
Well, but that is a thing in of itself, right? It's the
Right. It's the neutral.
the basic
neutral
neutral.
suit.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I hadn't considered that, but you're right. Each of the suits does feel different than the others.
And has their own little different strategies. You know, I have had friends back in high school that would just go on and on about different ways that you should do things with hearts, which is really interesting to me that, you know, it is a very simple at its core game, but just these little minor variations and alterations makes it much more, adds some depth to it, you know?
Yeah.
More engaging.
I mean, this is not my takeaway, but it doesn't take much to make things feel different.
Yeah.
Really. I've noticed this in a bunch of games. Like one example I like to look at is Slipways, the game about building a civilization in space, because it has a bunch of different resources, and one of the resources is humans, and the rule with humans is if they're unemployed, they're unhappy. And that's it. The rest of the resources all have no special effects. But because of the way all the trades are set up with respect to the humans, all of the resources feel unique because of their position in the trade cycle.
Oh, interesting.
Because humans have a special effect, and that sort of echoes to the other ones.
Yeah.
So, like, just the tiniest thing can make things feel different. But that's not my takeaway. But that totally could be my
Okay,
takeaway.
that's cool. Yeah. For me, it was interesting to see how extreme the extremely bad one card is, the Queen of Spades.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that it's worth 13 points. It's essentially the same number as if you got all the hearts.
Yep.
But it's kind of, it's like one of those things that is unbalanced,
Right.
but fun because of it.
But it's also balanced because both spades and hearts have the same number of points in those suits.
That is true.
Balanced by numbers, sure.
On a spreadsheet, if you're just
Yep.
looking at the suits.
But it is a defining moment where it's like, if you get that Queen of Spades, you're gonna try to shoot the moon.
Yeah.
So
unless
that's
you
fun.
already can't, and then you're just
Then
like,
you're just
well.
sad.
Yep. And another interesting thing, I don't know if I mentioned it, but shooting the moon is a really important part too, because if you are able to capture every point, you make everyone else get 26 points. And so I don't think we actually stated that. But like having that kind of balance in there, I think helps people when they're like, oh man, I got a really bad hand, or I got a really good hand.
Yeah.
If I can play it right.
Well, and the shoot the moon mechanic, I always say that in
Yeah.
games where it's when it's feeling like, oh, there's one strategy. Well, could you have another strategy in your game that is a shoot the moon strategy?
You lose so hard
Yeah.
that you win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like a
You go backwards across the finish line instead of forwards.
Yes. Another game that does that is Blood Rage has Loki in that game, and Loki's the trickster, so he's trying to lose all these battles. And
Oh my god.
yeah, so that's the Loki strategy.
That's
So-
low key though.
Yeah. Yeah, shoot the moon is cool.
I think, yeah,
Losing so hard to win.
maybe that's my obvious takeaway is the shoot the moon. That's the coolest part of the game, especially because otherwise, as we've talked about with trick-taking games before, like there has to be a reason to have, what do you do if you have a bad hand?
Yeah.
And in this case, a bad hand is actually like a good,
It could be a really good hand.
like aces and stuff. And I had forgotten that this game was all about like getting low cards only
and not taking tricks.
and not taking tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trick preventing taking game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I have a criterion that I apply to every trick-taking game, which is, are there times when you don't want to win a trick? And this game passes that with flying colors.
Every
You normally,
time, almost.
but you get to control the suit and the leader card
Yeah.
if you win the trick.
Yeah,
and
there's-
so there's a mechanical advantage for winning,
Sure, there's still times you want to win a trick,
but
in
a
this
point
game.
disadvantage for winning. And so like the points are actually separate from the mechanics for winning tricks. Which that's very interesting.
Yeah, but it definitely passes the test.
It passes
Yeah.
the test.
Yes.
More than my trick-taking game did. But I did that before we did trick-taking as a series, and I probably should have just waited. Because then I would have learned better and not done that.
Yeah.
So I think my takeaway
Yeah.
from this game is one thing about the game is that there are no trump suits.
Yeah.
Normally, in a ton of trick takers, there always seems to be a trump suit
Yep.
for some reason, and I did not miss the trumps here. It felt fine. I don't know why all these other trick takers have that as a thing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need that.
Well, I think you do need it in some because sometimes. So this is one of the rare trick takers where you really don't want to win tricks, but I think it makes it more interesting sometimes in games where you do want to win tricks because that's the advantage of short suiting your hand.
Right.
In this, the advantage of short suiting your hand is that you can
Shedding points.
shed
I
hearts
see.
on people.
Okay, I see
But
what
then
you're
there's
saying.
like, ooh, okay, I got rid of this suit. Awesome. Now I get a bonus for that I can sneak in there and be clever with the.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, right. Because in most of the trick takers, you want to win tricks generally.
And I
Yeah.
think the real almost a real takeaway is that having an understanding that you don't have to have a trump suit. And I think that
Yeah.
is maybe a fallacy that a lot of designers go into
Yeah.
trick taking. Like, oh, if I'm doing trick taking, I should have a trump suit.
Right.
It is not a requirement
Yes,
of trick taking.
there may be some times where it's a good thing to have,
Yeah.
because like you were saying, give someone a reward for short suiting themselves, but you can give them other rewards for short suiting themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
being short suited means you can play any card you want,
Right.
so that already seems quite good.
Yeah.
So just be more creative than having a trump suit, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so the trick-taking game I have that's out is called Lunar Skyline. That one, I did start with having a trump suit in there. And then after playing it enough, I was like, wait, actually, maybe it's better without it. So in that case, yeah, it did turn out to be better because there's some other things going on in that game. The whole concept is each card has two suits on it. So you can like kind of play slightly off suit. And there's still a reason to play certain things over others to like either screw someone over or, and what it came to was actually short suiting because I was thinking, well, what if you try to get rid of suits, which is very hard to do in that game because everything's connected. So the benefit to that is that you get to smuggle a trick to
Yeah.
yourself.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you play a card that is not if you got rid of, actually, you have to kind of get rid of 3 suits almost to do that.
Yeah.
But if you do, then you get your own personal little trick.
So maybe the deeper form of the takeaway is that your trick taker should have some reward for being short suited, but it doesn't need to be a trump suit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
if you don't, then oftentimes it's just about like, when do I play this number versus this number within
Yeah.
the same suit, which is not as interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm going to say my takeaway is it's going to be way less refined in thought and consideration. But having a balance of points and strategy. So like the queen versus the hearts, having multiple kind of things happening so that you're not just like, well, I got all these things and now I've lost. Having this nice balance of something really bad versus a lot of little, slightly less bad things, I think is a really good way to kind of approach negative trick taking, but then positive trick taking kind of having the same thing where you could have one really big positive thing and then lots of little positive things. And so having some just a dynamic flow to the game, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
stagnant.
Yeah. Something that's really valuable versus a lot of things that
Yep.
are slightly valuable.
And so you're going to fight for the really valuable thing or not to have the bad valuable thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a risk-reward type, or effort-reward.
Yeah.
I think I've increasingly like to think of effort versus reward as opposed to risk versus reward.
Oh, sure. So
I
yeah, if
think
you're
the
like
one-
planning a strategy so that you do get the thing at the end, that's the effort, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that would make it feel a little better in this is currently, if you have the choice to play a heart or the queen of spades to screw someone over on their trick, you'll always probably play the queen of spades.
Yeah.
And that usually comes out first. But I think it would be more exciting if there was some way that was delayed after.
So you have
more
to break hearts before you can, or a
Well,
certain number of hearts.
Or I don't know if it just would feel more fun and more climactic maybe if
Sure.
this queen of spades didn't come out till later somehow.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the strategies is to have someone be playing a lot of low value spades so that the queen gets called out.
Yeah.
And so, like, I love the tension that it can create, but again, it's a pretty bare bones design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
Sweet.
I think that's Hearts.
Yeah. Classic game.
Classic game.
We'll be talking about more trick-taking games coming up.
Hey, thanks for listening to The Tabletop Takeaway. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. So please tell your friends and visit our website at thetabletoptakeaway.com, where you can suggest games and mechanics for us to cover next on the show.